Hi everyone, welcome back or welcome to my channel. My name's Lizzie and today I have my 2020 sewing roundup video. This video has become a little bit of a tradition over the last few years where I've made a video at the end of each year just to give a quick run through of all of the sewing projects that I've completed that year. Hopefully it'll be interesting for you guys to see, but I really like to make these videos even just for myself because it's so lovely just to look back on everything that I've made that year. In order to do this and make it easy for myself, what I actually do throughout the year is I keep a list in my bullet journal. So I use a bullet journal, I use it as a diary, I also use it to keep track of all my sewing projects. I don't really use it in the traditional bullet journal way, I just use it in a way that works for me. But I keep a list, so I've got a list here, 2020 sewing roundup, and throughout the year, every time I complete a sewing project, I add it to this list, and I put a little page reference so I can flick to the page that's got kind of my full notes on that sewing project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run you through this list, and I'm going to put pictures up so you can see what I'm talking about. And yeah, I just think it's a really worthwhile thing to do because reviewing everything that I've made helps me to kind of identify, okay, what were the really successful makes that I've got loads of wear out of? What were the less successful makes that I haven't really worn? Why have I not worn them? Why were they less successful? And it's just a fun review process, and I think it'll help me figure out what I should focus on in my 2021 sewing. So let's get going. So the very first thing that I made in 2020 was a red spotted tulle overskirt, and I made this to go over my red Vogue V9075 jumpsuit that I wore to the Galentines Party at the new craft house. I can't believe how long that party was ago, how long ago that party was now. It's crazy, and obviously because of COVID there haven't been any other sewing parties at the new craft house this year, so I'm really hoping that those will be able to start up again at some point during 2021. In the process of doing this, I also made some alterations to my V9075 jumpsuit. It didn't fit me very well around the neckline. I hadn't learnt anything about kind of fit adjustments and stuff when I made this jumpsuit, so I did a few adjustments to the neckline to make it sit better, which was a really worthwhile thing to do. The third sewing project that I tackled was my, again, some alterations to a boucle skirt that I made for work. And in terms of the alterations, I took it in a bit at the waist, I added some belt loops, and I added a slit at the centre back seam because it was a bit too tight for me to walk in. Those were some, again, really worthwhile alterations, and you'll see as I continue to run through this list, I really did make a big effort to do more alterations projects and more refashions projects during 2020. I'm so glad that I did because it's felt so rewarding to give a new lease of life to some of my clothes and some of my makes that otherwise were quite unloved. So yeah, I really want to continue doing alterations and refashions in 2021. The fourth thing that I made was a khaki jumper dress in a cable knit effect Ponte Roma, and the pattern is kind of a mashup of the True Bias Nikko and the Nine Lee Southbank sweater. This is the third one of these that I made, and I wear it all the time over leggings. It's just a cozy winter jumper. Love it. The fifth thing that I made was my multicoloured scale effect Elisalex dress. I'm so proud of this dress, and it's the only kind of special occasion kind of piece that I made this year. Shortly after I made this dress, the whole coronavirus thing happened, so of course, unfortunately, all special occasions were basically cancelled this year. I made this dress after attending the bodice fitting masterclass with Elisalex at the new craft house. I was so lucky that I went to this class at the beginning of March, so it was before coronavirus kind of became this huge issue and before we all went into the first lockdown. So yeah, I was really lucky that I was able to go to that class. And yeah, it's the first dress I've ever made where I've done bust adjustments and got it to fit me really beautifully. So this will always be a special dress. I am planning to wear it for New Year's Eve. Of course, I'm not going anywhere for New Year's Eve because Tier 4, London, yeah, can't go anywhere, can't do anything. But me and my husband are just going to stay at home and we're still going to get dressed up, so I'm going to wear my dress because I haven't had a reason to wear it. I wanted to wear it to weddings this year. I was supposed to attend 5 weddings as a guest, and of course they all unfortunately had to be postponed. So yeah, I'm going to wear the dress for New Year's Eve. Next was a refashion project. So I refashioned my Simple Sew Cocoon Dress in a linen look cotton into a top. I barely wore it as a cocoon dress, but now that it's like a ruffle hemmed top, I've worn it loads and it's great to go over jeans, and you guys have been really complimentary about it on my Instagram too, so thank you. Glad you liked that one. The seventh project that I completed was my by Hand London Eloise dress in Losetta Tile Viscose Crepe from Fabric Godmother. A lot of you will recognise this fabric because it was a real hit in the sewing community this summer. I love this dress, like really love it, but I haven't worn it very much. Even when we had our heat wave and we had a period of really gorgeous weather at the end of spring and beginning of summer, I didn't actually wear it that much, so I am considering hacking it into a top in 2021 to get more wear out of it, so we'll see. Next, I made a dragon costume for my nephew's birthday. It was adorable. I sourced a hoodie pattern and I kind of hacked it to add dragon scales, and you'll notice that the dragon scales, or the dragon spikes, so I did spikes all along the hood and down the back and added wings. That is leftover fabric from my Elisalex dress, so that was great to use up some scraps. Next, I did a whole load of face mask sewing. So by this point, coronavirus had really kicked in. We were all in lockdown and the government was advising us to wear face masks. And Patrick Grant had his campaign where he was trying to encourage anybody with the ability to do a little bit of sewing to make face coverings for friends, family, people in your community. So I did that. I jumped on the bandwagon and I think I made 33 face masks in my first batch that I posted out to family. And I was pretty sick of making face masks by the end of it, but I was happy to be able to send some to my family. I also did a load of scrub sewing at this time, and I made a whole bunch of pairs of scrubs for the NHS. This was at the time, I think it was about April time, when the NHS was really struggling to get hold of enough PPE and enough scrubs, and it felt really good to be able to use my sewing skills to help. So thank you to Scrub Hub, because they did such a good job of getting organised and getting materials and patterns out to everybody, and yeah, it was a great experience. The 11th project that I worked on was making another by Hand London Eloise dress, but this time in green tencel linen slub. I love this dress. It is so gorgeous. I did have trouble when making this one because the fabric frayed, and yeah, I had to make some adjustments and do some repairs on it. I haven't worn it as much recently because I haven't figured out a way to wear a long sleeve top underneath it, because the neckline is just slightly too wide on the top for my long sleeve tops, because I don't really like it when the long sleeve top shows underneath, but I love it. Looking forward to wearing it more maybe as the weather warms up a little bit and I don't need quite so many layers. Next, I made a Tilly and the Buttons Ariel skirt in faux suede from the Fabric Godmother. I'd had this fabric for ages and was waiting for the right project. I love this skirt, however, I unfortunately haven't worn it very much yet. The reason is because I made this skirt to wear to work. And I purposefully made it a bit longer. So the Ariel skirt comes as a mini skirt and a midi skirt, and I kind of made mine somewhere in between. I wanted it to be long enough that I didn't feel like I was wearing a mini skirt to work, and I wanted to be able to wear smart blouses and things tucked into it. However, I haven't been to work all this year. I've been working from home ever since the global pandemic happened, so I've been working in cosy jumpers and leggings mostly, and I haven't had a reason to wear that skirt. It's not the kind of skirt that I would just wear to be comfy around the house, let's face it. It's been the year of loungewear. And if I was going to wear it just for myself, I probably would have made it a bit shorter. I would have left it at the mini length. So I'm really hoping that once life hopefully starts to return to some sort of normal in 2021, and if I start to go back to the office, then I think that's when that skirt will hopefully come into its own. Although I might need to take it in a bit because I do think I made it slightly too big at the waist. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting wear out of that skirt when the time is right. The 13th thing that I made was a kind of hack, very loosely based on the Seamwork Astoria jumper. I made an oversized and longer version in a waffle knit, and I love this jumper. I've worn it a lot. It's so nice just to have like a loose, comfortable, cozy jumper to throw on over jeans and a t-shirt. Next, I made the V8772 blouse in Meat Milk Tencel. and I did a bell sleeve hack on it, and I love this. Again, I haven't worn it too much yet because it's, again, the kind of thing that I would wear to work, or I would wear to go out with friends or to restaurants, and obviously that kind of thing hasn't really happened. But again, when I go back to work, I'm hoping this will be something that I'll be able to wear lots to work. Then I did another refashion. So I had a cocoon dress, another Simple Sew Cocoon Dress in an Atelier brunette fabric, and I barely wore it as a dress. So again, I refashioned it into another top with like a ruffle hem, like a peplum. It's not really a peplum, but it's kind of like a peplum ruffle at the bottom, and I've worn it so much more. So that was a very worthwhile refashion. The 16th thing that I made was a pair of Megan Nielsen flint shorts in a green cotton twill fabric. I love the Megan Nielsen flint shorts pattern. I made a pair a couple of years ago in navy blue, and now I have a green pair. They're my summer staple. They've got really good deep pockets. I like the waistband on them. Great. I don't think I'll ever really need to make a different pair of shorts because they're just my perfect summer shorts. The next couple of projects I made were to use up some leftover jersey fabrics that I had left over from some Tilly in the Buttons Freya tops, and I wanted to try the concept of rubbing off. I think that's the term that people use to basically clone your ready-to-wear clothes and create a pattern from your ready-to-wear clothes. My favourite all-time t-shirt is a very simple round-necked Uniqlo t-shirt. I love Uniqlo. It's one of the only high street shops that I still kind of semi-regularly buy things from because their basics are just great. They're really good quality, largely all made of natural fibres. They wash really well, they last really well. I just wear them loads. And yeah, I love this t-shirt, and I thought, well, I'm going to try to clone this t-shirt, or to rub it off. Is that the correct terminology? I'm not sure. So I basically created my own pattern from this t-shirt, this Uniqlo t-shirt, and I used the pattern to make a couple of new t-shirts in leftover cotton jersey fabrics from other projects, and I'm really pleased to just have a few more t-shirts in my collection that are my kind of perfect shape and style. I did another refashion next, and I refashioned my Megan Nielsen leopard print Cottesloe swimsuit. I love this swimsuit, and I was so proud of it when I originally made it, but it was always a little bit short in the body and very long in the torso, and the fabric wasn't quite stretchy enough lengthways to accommodate my really long body. So I chopped it up and I redrafted the bottoms and I turned it into a bikini. I haven't worn it yet because 2020, because I haven't been on holiday, I haven't been swimming, I haven't been to the beach, so I unfortunately have had nowhere to wear a bikini to. But I'm really hoping that by the middle of 2021, when hopefully most of Europe have, you know, rolled out vaccines to, you know, a significant chunk of the population, I'm really hoping that there'll be a period in the summer again where life will get a little bit more normal and we'll be able to travel a little bit. I'm really hoping for some European sun this summer, even if it's just a long weekend, please. Really hope. Anyway, if that happens, I will have my Megan Nielsen leopard print bikini ready and waiting to go. Next, I made another good old trusty Tilly in the Buttons Freya top in a navy blue kind of jersey knit fabric. I'm not really sure what the fabric is, but it's quite thick and cozy, so that's a great layering piece for the cold weather. Then I did a little bit of home sewing and I made a cushion cover in a mustard Ponte Roma with a white pom-pom trim. Kind of weird to make a cushion out of a stretch fabric, but I love the snuggliness of it, and it's just on our bed, and in fact I'll put a picture in, but it's in the background if you can spot it. The 22nd thing that I made was a refashion of a ready-to-wear t-shirt dress, a blue striped t-shirt dress that I just didn't wear anymore because it wasn't my style and was a bit short. So I hacked it into a t-shirt and I used my twin needle for the first time to hem it. I didn't get my twin needle settings quite right because my hem has since popped and I need to repair that. But I've already got so much more wear out of this dress now that it's a t-shirt than when it was a t-shirt dress. And the next project I did was the exact same thing again, but with a khaki green t-shirt dress. I had two the same, one in blue and white stripes, one in khaki green, and they're both now t-shirts that I get so much more wear out of. My 24th sewing project of the year was another refashion. This time it was my Tilly and the Buttons Megan dress in beautiful grey faux suede that I bought a couple of years ago from Fabric Godmother. This one, I was so proud of it when I originally made it, but it was a few years ago now. My sewing skills have come on a way since then, including fitting. And this one was always just a bit tight across the chest and put me off wearing it. So I chopped the sleeves off, did a few alterations to the neck, and it now is just so much better. I think it looks nicer, it's more balanced in terms of the proportions now. It hasn't got sleeves, and I'm planning on wearing it with my the V8772 white bill sleeve blouse and with the pussy bow hanging over the top. I think it looks so nice, and again, as soon as I'm kind of allowed out the house a bit more and I'm not just at home in my pyjamas, I'll be able to wear that more too, but I'm really pleased with that refashion. Next, I made my very first sewing project from the named Breaking the Pattern book, and I made the Selena top in a green viscose crepe from Fabric Godmother. I am really pleased with this top. I love the colour. This was in a previous video quite recently, so I won't talk about it in too much detail. I am definitely going to hack it up a little bit in 2021 because the tie, it's got ties on the wrists and they're driving me nuts, so I need to do something about those. But yeah, I was really pleased. This was another project where I really kind of took the time to put my bodice fitting skills into use, so the skills that I learnt in the bodice fitting masterclass at the beginning of the year. And I took my time to make a toile, do a bust adjustment, make other adjustments to the pattern, and sure enough the resulting top fits so much better than my initial toile, so that was a really worthwhile process. The 26th thing that I made was a pair of dinosaur pyjamas for my nephew. He still hasn't opened those yet because those are for his birthday, which is at the beginning of January or a week or so into January. But yeah, I used the Perry Pyjamas pattern from Paper Pattern Scissors and the most gorgeous dinosaur cotton jersey from my fabrics.co.uk. Very pleased with those. The next thing that I made is what I'm wearing now, and it's the Deer and Doe Myosotis dress in a leopard print viscose from Rainbow Fabrics. Again, I did the full hog here, and I made a toile. I then figured out what pattern adjustments I needed to make. I made a small bust adjustment, a few other adjustments, and I'm really pleased with the resulting dress. So again, I'm just so pleased that in 2020 I've very much learnt to take the time to make a toile, to do pattern adjustments, do bust adjustments, get the fit right on the toile and on the pattern pieces before making it in my final fabric. And that's definitely kind of my highlight, like learning takeaway of 2020 is to do that basically, because the resulting clothes just fit me so much better than the ones I was making before I started to take that extra time and effort. The last thing that I made in 2020 is another cushion. It's a blue velvet pom-pom trim cushion, and I have actually filmed a tutorial on how I made it, so that will be coming up in the next few weeks. And it's really great sometimes to have a bit of a break from dressmaking, to just do something quick and simple like sew up a cushion. So there you have it. Those are my 28 completed sewing projects that I made this year. I'm really glad that I've got a real good mixture in here of new makes, so brand new makes from scratch, as well as a really healthy sprinkling of alterations and refashions. I always thought that alterations and refashions were less exciting. I was much more excited to make something new and fresh, but actually alterations and refashions I have found to be really satisfying because they're really quick, especially as I haven't done any really dramatic refashions where I've taken apart a pair of jeans and turned it into something totally different or anything like that. But actually, even just a really simple refashion, like changing a dress into a top or removing some sleeves or changing the neckline, even just a small refashion can have a really dramatic effect on the garment. So I would really, highly recommend anybody who's yet to delve into doing alterations and refashions to give them a try, because I have found them really satisfying. And of course, it's given a new lease of life to many of my handmade garments, as well as some ready-to-wear garments. And in this time of fast fashion, I think it's so important that we all try to get the maximum wear out of our clothes, whether they're clothes that we've made or clothes that we've bought. It's just so important that we get out of this habit of getting rid of things, you know, consuming things, whether that's buying things or making things. If we're making things and buying things that we don't end up wearing very often, it's a waste and it's a problem. And if we can get more wear out of our clothes by repairing them or changing them, or, you know, even if you don't sew and it means taking them to your local dry cleaners to have, you know, the hem taken up or to have a hole repaired, it's just so important. So yeah, I'm definitely going to try and carry that through into 2021 sewing as well. Thank you ever so much for watching. Please do subscribe to my channel if you would like to see more of my videos, and give this one a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Bye!